This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. This meeting is an in-person meeting held at 870 Colfax here in Benton Harbor. In addition, a live stream of this meeting is available at the noted link. Questions may be submitted beforehand to natalie.singer@bhas.org or presented in person during the public comment section as indicated in the agenda. Board members may be contacted through the emails listed below. Requests for special assistance, including for persons with disabilities, may be sent to natalie.singer@bhas.org. I call this meeting to order officially at 6:08 p.m. We'll begin by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson,
Present.
Vice President Bowen,
Present.
Secretary Triplett, present. Treasurer Bradley, Trustee Rocket Martin, Trustee Gavin, Trustee Doyle. Madam President, quorum has been established.
All right, awesome. We have a quorum established. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam President,
You have the floor.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as is.
Is there a second or support?
Second.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bowens and supported by Trustee Gavin. Questions, comments, concerns? I do anticipate we should be able to get out of here by 8 o'clock today. We've already had our work sessions. We should actually be out sooner, but that's definitely the goal. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bowen.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Awesome. Next is the review of our board norms, the Board of Education norms for Benton Harbor area schools. We will treat each other with respect. We will listen to learn. We will refrain from side conversations. We will use our time wisely, starting and ending our meetings on time. We will challenge ideas, not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table. We will practice the 7 norms of collaboration. Those are pausing, paraphrasing, posing questions, putting ideas on the table, providing data, paying attention to self and others, and pursuing positive intention. Next, we have public comment on agenda items. Is there anyone present for a comment on an agenda item? Hearing none, we'll proceed. Next on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes. Tonight, we'll be approving work session 11/26/2024, regular session 12/10/2024, work session 12/17/2024. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Hold on, that was a question.
You did say 12/10?
So 11/26, 12/10, and 12/17.
Yes.
All right. The motion has been made by Trustee Rocket Martin. Is there a second or support?
Support.
The motion has been made by Rocket Martin and supported by Secretary Triplett. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, reminder, as of 9/13/2022, all comments will be limited to 2 minutes per trustee per topic. Our first item of business for board business is our committee assignments to 2025. This was previously emailed out to everyone. However, to make it official, I just wanted to review it at the board table. So as a reminder, we previously took a vote that adjusted our committees. At this time, our 2025 board committee assignments, we have facilities and finance operations. That is Treasurer Bradley, Trustee Rocket Martin, and Secretary Triplett. We have curriculum and student support services emerged. That is Trustee Gavin, myself, and Trustee Rocket Martin. Policy and discipline, which meets as needed, is Treasurer Bradley, Trustee Doyle, and myself. And then Human Resources Committee is Vice President Bowen, Secretary Triplett, and Trustee Doyle. Now, as a reminder, this is committees as it stands with the adjustments that we made. We do have our committee training next week, Tuesday. We'll be working on committees as well as learning more about committee of the whole. I did email you all and ask if there's any questions that you have about committee work or committee of the whole, if you could send it to me today. So far, I've received questions from trustee Rockette Martin. Those have been forwarded. Just want to make sure questions that we have are actually embedded in the training. So trustee Gavin,
President Robinson, I did send mine. I
you sent some?
apologize for
Okay.
that
You sent it
file.
today? Okay, so I haven't seen it. Okay. So I'll include yours. If there's anybody, I at least want to get them to her tomorrow because she does have to do the training Tuesday. And then that way she'll know exactly what we need answered at the table. So if you have anything pressing or something you want to better understand, just let me know. If there's a question that you know you have off top now that you want to give me, or if you think about it at some point in the meeting, you can write it down and pass it to me. That's perfectly fine as well. So that's that. And then next we have the MASB Diamond Anniversary Give Back. I'm gonna actually pass that to Dr. Butts. Were you giving us this information or did you want me to go over it? Was it more so information for us?
It was more, I'm sorry, Madam President, it was more so information for you all.
Okay, so Dr. Butts just wanted to ensure that the board was aware that MASB currently has a Diamond Anniversary Member Give Back. MASB is excited to celebrate turning 75. They want their members to be able to share in the celebration, which is why they are giving $750 worth of specific event registrations or services for the coming year. Only select services listed below are eligible for these funds. They hope to see us soon. So this is just an idea of the types of trainings that we can utilize and take use of the actual credit that they've provided. So if you all can kind of take a look over those things, these might be trainings that we can do together. It might be individual trainings that you would like to take yourself, but we may be able to utilize this $750 worth of give back funds towards our required board training. So he just wanted to ensure that we shared that with you all. And if there's no questions about that, we'll proceed. Up next, I'll pass the floor to Dr. Butts. He is going to discuss School Board Recognition Month. Dr. Butts?
Thank you, Madam President. In front of each of you, you should receive a small token of appreciation for your diligent work on this board. I want to say that I thank you for your work and collaboration as we've done some extraordinary work over the past year. Again, we may not all have agreed, but we've all moved forward in a collegial manner. And I just, again, want to show my small token of appreciation and thanks for all that you do. And to know that your effort, your work, and your time, your dedicated time to this board, which you're not paid for. So your volunteer time, if I like to say, is really has not gone unnoticed. And I want to just say thank you, and you're much appreciated.
Well, thank you, kind sir. And I can't wait to see what's in my bag, but for the sake of the noise, I'll wait to ramble in it.
Okay. And I also want to take this time as well as a moment of silence and condolences to Mr. Triplett and his family. Mr. Triplett has also a family member, and I want to say that you have our sincere condolences, Mr. Triplett.
All right. Up next, we have the partnership agreement update. I anticipate, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Butts, you're going to give us our update. We're going to present our update to the public in our February regular board meeting.
Yes, ma'am. So we have not gotten the official partnership agreement update from the 18-month benchmark review. I am awaiting that benchmark review. As soon as I get it, I will share it with the board first prior to the public release. Get your feedback as we prepare our public release, and then we will have it ready for the February meeting.
And just so that the board, the full board is aware, we did discuss previously having a conversation with MDE specific to the partnership agreement. Myself, Secretary Triplett, and Trustee Gavin did have an opportunity to have that conversation on a call. We kind of went over some of the our status as a district informally. And so we are anticipating the results. We'll be sharing that in February. There is some great news and there's some work to be done. So we look forward to sharing that with the community in our next regular board meeting. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to that, sir?
I think you did a great job, Madam President.
All right. Next up, your strategic plan update.
Yes, ma'am. And I know that you have been very adamant as far as making sure that we give a strategic plan update. I will be updating the strategic plan to include the 21st Cent Ed adoption. They have embedded all of their activities within the strategic plan to meet to set each benchmark. So I want to update that to match our strategic plan. So that also will be ready for February.
Can you repeat that part again?
So
They've
with-
updated something to match benchmark?
So with them coming in and collaborating, they've included how we can help achieve our benchmarks
Okay.
on the strategic plan.
Any questions from the table? Trustee Gavin?
Just real brief, you say you will be, so is that also something we'll be seeing in February?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the organization you're talking about, is that which organization did you say was?
21st Cent Ed, the one that came and did the AI update.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And
When are you discussing this later or here? Are you gonna do this in teaching and learning?
teaching and learning.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? All right, hearing none, we have the Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary Report, and I am proud to welcome our principal, Miss M. Shannon Rockett, to the mic. You have the floor. Welcome. You didn't even have to wait an hour to speak today.
I truly count it a blessing. I'm Shannon Rockett. I'm the principal for Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary, our first, second, and third grade building in Benton Harbor area schools. And I am so glad to present before the board today. I won't be before you long. I'd like to say that we have a staff of about 32 individuals, and this includes our core teachers, our special education teachers, our support staff, and our office staff. We have over 250 families, as well as our partnerships. And what we do with our partnerships is we utilize and collaborate with them to work in engaging our families as well as our students. And as you can see, we have, again, over 15 partnerships that are actively working within our school in some capacity, everything from basic needs to academic support to our PBIS reward systems to our individuals with public safety. We are looking at ensuring that the whole family is addressed, has interventions and resources for everything they could possibly need.
Can I just ask you a quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not familiar with Our House. That's the only entity.
So Our House is a Hispanic community resource that is located off of Main Street. And so they provide similar to what 6 Degrees and Mosaic does. Home education, tutoring services, home assistance, food, pantry, clothing options, all of those things are encapsulated with them.
Thank you.
And as you see, we are making great strides at MLK. We are meeting our benchmarks and we are moving forward. And at Dr. Butt's next presentation regarding this, you will see that we have met what we needed to in all of our categories at MLK. Yes. Yes, and
Yes,
so
can we clap a little bit louder for that?
And the thing is, I want you to clap and applause for the staff that aren't here today, because truly, I stand on their shoulders. I'm just at this point, yes, I help lead them, but they put in the work with our students and our families and our children themselves, especially our students. They did the work. And our staff was there to help support them, and I was there to help support the staff. So it truly is a team effort to make sure that our students are making those strides to being on grade level. Within that, those strides are our curriculum. We have our ELA, it's our Reading Mastery Transformations, and that was adopted this year. Our Math and Vision, that was also here. our diverse classroom libraries, and that you will see a lot more information regarding coming that way. We are looking forward to just going the leaps and bounds with that, because our DCL libraries have been very instrumental in allowing our students the opportunity to see themselves in mirrors and seeing them other cultures in windows through the books that they have in their classrooms. So these libraries are held in every one of the classrooms. And then our arts and science department, I gotta say, we are rocking it. We have not only our physical education, but we also have our STEM program, as well as our art program, as well as our music program. And with our music program, we work in collaboration with Threads of Hope to do productions. We're not just having the students sing, but we're looking to make sure that they can act, do, and use their voice in every way possible to tap into their social emotional competencies, and then also be able to demonstrate that for their families and in a public setting. We want to make sure that every star that we have gets polished to shine the brightest that they can be. As you will see, because we will send out our Christmas production that we did. I just got the edited film back from Miss Bonita Mitchell with that, and it's phenomenal. It really is, costumes and all. And another piece of our academic intervention is our multidisciplinary team. And with this approach, we are looking at changing the way that we do our systems of our multi-systems of support approach different. So that tiered level of support has changed, in that we are intentional and making sure that every level from tier 1 to tier 3 is getting that purposeful academic intervention for the students based on the needs that they have according to their assessment scores. And one of the things that we use to do that is not only NWA and it's not only AIMSWeb, but we're also utilizing the reading mastery transformation assessments to ensure that students are identified early and are worked with on a daily basis, not just weekly, but every day. Every child is receiving their Tiger Time intervention. And every day, those students who need additional tier 3 support are getting those pullouts multiple times throughout the day to get that extra support, so that, again, we're pushing them at the rate that they're able to sustain with rigor, not with frustration, to being on grade level. And so, again, with that, we have a very comprehensive academic intervention team that includes a multidisciplinary coordinator who also acts as an academic interventionist. But this is us weekly monitoring and progress monitoring our data, the students' progress, what is the intensity of their intervention? What is their prescription that is being delivered to them? What is the, how engaged are they? That's even tracked. How engaged is the student in the actual moment that they're doing their reading mastery signature program? And so we track that daily and then review it weekly, so that we are making on the spot decisions instead of waiting to the end of the marking period. We're not waiting to the end of 2, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. We're doing this on a weekly basis to make sure that we are giving the students what they need, how they need it at that time.
I have a quick question
Yes,
for you.
ma'am.
So the students that are getting that support, is it every student or the students that have shown they need support in certain areas?
The students who have shown they need support in certain areas.
Okay.
So with that tier level, that is our tier 3 approach.
Okay.
So for those students that are identified, it's immediate it is wheels on the ground in August. They start immediately then, and they're working with them.
And then the second question that I have is who in the building is responsible for maintaining the data? Like you're saying you guys keep consistent data. Whose role is that to document?
Our MDT coordinator, Miss Ashley Williams,
Okay.
she's responsible for tracking that, but all of the teachers, so both of our resource teachers and our 2 academic interventionists are also responsible for making sure that the students that they're working with, that information is uploaded and then it's reviewed every week. And we work with Melissa Tay from the my TSS Center. So we work with them closely. Again, it is a weekly meeting, myself is included. We have central office staff that is there as well. Because again, we also look at the academic, but then we also address any behavior barriers that may come in, and that includes attendance as well. Yes, sir.
When I look at this and look at from an academic perspective,
Mhm.
and I know that we spend loads and loads of time, is tier 3 the lowest?
Yes.
Okay, we spend, principal after principal, person after person comes in and talk about all of the things that we're doing for tier 3. My concern is tier 2 and tier 1 is even those students are not being successful on the state examination. And so to me, what do you have? What have you all done? You have to answer tonight,
All right.
but I would like to know that's the direction I will be coming from, is to strengthen and to address the gaps that these students who have proven to you all time after time again, according to the data, that they have the academic foundation to do the grade level work. And so a large group of students, are in this tier 3, but up here at the top, they're not being successful on the state examination. What are you all doing as it relates to grade level? What are you all doing as it relates to rigor? What information do you have as it relates to the data that, what gap analysis do you have to see why they're not being successful, not just on the state examination, but why they're not being successful academically? Because we have report cards with all A's and B's, and then we have 1%, 2%, and we discussed it. We are very, very proud not to take away from the fact that this is one of our schools that everybody met that did a phenomenal job as it relates, but we also feel that we're lowballing. And just because we set that standard, we set that 1% because that would give us an opportunity to make it, but we just see 10 and 20% because it's still a very low percentage of our students who are proficient. So I guess I'll wrap it up and do it like this. The students who have shown the level tier 1 and tier 2,
Mhm.
what are you all doing? What, as it relates to rigor, as it relates to looking at why they have not been successful on the state examination? So I would like for you to take a look at that and be able to come back and give us some information on that.
Well, I can give you some information as far as our tier 2 and tier 1, because that's our Tiger Time. And that's a daily intervention where all of our students are broken into their abilities and they are worked with for no less than 30 minutes on their skills. And these are fluid groups. So based on the skill developments and our Ames Web Progress Monitoring and our NWA and our consistent progress monitoring, we move the students as they need to into with those teachers. And the thing is this, all of our staff work on this. So we are related arts teachers, work in collaboration with our core teachers, work in collaboration with our academic intervention teachers, so that every student is getting intervention every day.
So and I'll close with this. The information, just from past experience from teaching and what you have, our students struggle with application, the actual application. What do we have in place that even do our teachers aware of how the state examination look? Have we developed and created some formative assessments that are in alignment with even the structure of how the test looks, so they can know when they're writing the paper that they have to write something if it does not have a line on it? Just what type of things are we doing for them, because they have proven, according to all of the data that you have, all of the interventions that you have, but they're still not being successful. And so that's something that, what are you all doing as it relates to application? Because we teach these things in isolation, but the application piece is the thing. But thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, go.
Trustee Gavin?
Thank you so much for this detailed and exciting presentation. I'm really excited that they're able to maximize that Tiger Time I'm not sure. I'm totally not sure. I know that you work with a younger group. Does your age group work with Zillow at all, or is that more middle school?
Zello? No, Zello is more middle school, so our students are first, second, and third. I think Zello comes in around sixth grade.
Okay.
So yeah, that comes in that way.
My question is because I hope, I believe, and I
Trustee
hope.
Gavin, they can't hear you. Can you speak up a
Can
little
you
bit?
hear me now? Is it
Yep,
right?
that's
Okay.
better.
So I asked that question because I believe that Zillow does like a learning style test. And I know that our kids, our students have different learning styles, kinesthetic, audio, visual. And it's so important for them to know, their parents to know what their learning style is, and for also the staff to know how to interact with them according to their learning style. Do we do anything at that age level to test their learning style and to provide that input to them, their families, and to the staff yet?
So you're talking about an inventory, learning inventory?
Yes, like so they would
Like
know
Hagen?
if they are auditory learner, a kinesthetic learner, a visual learner. That has a big impact in terms of how they're able to take in that information and comprehend it.
I know some of our teachers have seen that because have done an inventory. I've seen them actually use that at the beginning of their of the year. Now, as far as everyone, when I go in to monitor, I see different lessons done at different times. But I have seen teachers use those learning inventories to say, okay, I know who you are. I know the best way to teach you. And again, one of the fundamental habits that we have as teachers is we teach how we were taught.
Right.
Versus what is the best learning style for our students. And so that is something that, again, with training and continued professional development, we make sure that our teachers also are learning every day to refine and hone their practices. It is not something that is going to happen, and it's not a one-time thing. Again, our staff at MLK is about ensuring that they are constantly understanding what is the best practices and then applying them. And then again, practicing to make permanent those applications that are going to help the students perform better in the classroom and on those state assessments. Now, for us at MLK, I'll be honest, I feel a little lucky that we only have our third graders who do state assessment, and that gives us our first graders and second graders time to work with them to make sure that, hey, this is what you need to train your mind to think about when you are taking the test. And so we do have applications and our programs within our curriculum that actually places questions in such a way that that is similar to what they would see on the M-STEP as third graders. We also do extended day for our third graders, second and third graders. So we intentionally make sure that during that time we are working on assessment practice. What questions are you going to see? Let's get a copy of the M-STEP test that is a lot, available through M-STEP and MDE. Put it in front of them. Let's work on this. Let's work on your writing sample. Let's work on how you think about this problem. Let's work on how you write your response before you type your response. So those things are actually happening in the classroom and after school. And just to, because I don't want to waste any more time, we do have a couple of videos so that you can see. I will say this. The first video you're going to see is our students in application with the STEM program, and they are coding. This is what our focus is on, where we are giving them the fundamental building blocks for programming by going through the coding process. And this is every student at MLK. So first, second, third, it does not matter if they have an IEP. If they don't have an IEP 504, they go through this program. Yes. It is something phenomenal when you have a first grader, 6-year-old who's showing you their animation that they created for themselves. Yeah. That is something that they are very proud and the thing is they're teaching me because you think about it, when I came through school, coding was a different language, but it's becoming second language for them. And the second video we have is, I gotta say, it was a blessing and I felt it as an honor to have Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King III come through and talk and interact with our students. This was a legacy moment. It was an awesome moment that our students, I don't know if as young as they are, if they really appreciate the impact that they have, but I will say this, I know our staff did. And this is what we were able to experience. Just one antidote. I kid you not. We found out that we had the opportunity for Martin Luther King III to come by like at the last minute. It was like literally the day before and then the day of, it was like, he's gonna come by. I was like, everybody is going to come outside. And we were expecting him to just drive past and wave. he made it a point to get out and interact with our students. And so I really felt, I really appreciated the fact that he wanted to connect with our students, and they have this experience. No one else can say that they met the son of the name of their school. So that's an awesome thing.
Amazing.
I got one last thing and then I can take your question. One of the foster grandparents that you saw, Miss Mary Remsen, she's one of our foster grandparents, and I would be remiss if I did not give her this praise and accolade. But she has been nominated by to be the representative for foster grandparents for the state of Michigan. Yes. So we are waiting to hear if she has won that award. And so if there's any way, and I will reach out to the area agency of aging to find out if we have to vote or anything, but any way we can push that for her, because she has dedicated decades to Benton Harbor area schools. Her family is still here with us. She has come through, and I kid you not, she tells me all the time how her legacy, she's seeing it from till her great-grandchildren, her great-great nieces and nephews coming through. So again, I wanted to make sure that this board and a staff of Benton Harbor Area School knew that we have we have such greatness in our building, and we have such greatness in our district that we want to continue to uplift that.
Yeah, I enjoy what you guys are doing. That moment with them being with Martin Luther King III. Don't want to tell my age, but no, I'm just kidding. 2007, he came up to the high school, and it was a moment that will I forever live, and I still got pictures of me with him, and I was blessed with the opportunity to travel with him and got to meet Reverend Joseph Laurie. So, and it was me and another student from Benton Harbor. So those moments will forever be embedded in them. I personally have went to your family nights, and I've seen the action with your parents. I've seen the engagement, and I do my school tours and pop up, and I have no complaints. I enjoy the vibe, and when you guys have something, you guys make sure you reach out to me. And I just want to say, job well done.
Thank you.
All right. If there's no other comments or questions from the board, I'll tell you thank you. Great
Thank you
job
again.
today. All right, so we're moving right along. Up next, we have business and finance. We're going to pass the floor to Director Brock Carter. She's going to begin with her monthly financials, and then she'll present the MLK kitchen equipment. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I will be presenting staff report F1. Do we need to review the report? Did everyone?
I think you did so in the work session.
I did.
You can just present the staff report, and then
Okay.
if there's any questions, we can get them then.
All right. So, monthly staff reports. A set of financial reports is provided to the Board of Education each month. This evening, it is recommended that the November 2024 payments be approved for all of the district's funds. Policy reference 6470, payment of claim. Strategic plan goal reference, facility/operations. Benton Harbor Area Schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety. Recommended action that the Board of Education approve the November 1st through November 30th payments for the following funds. General funds, $1,471,264.28. Food service fund, $421,609.75. Sinking fund, $250,149.80. Student activity fund, $2,359 for a total of $2,145,382.83.
All right. Is there a motion to approve staff report F1?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve staff report F1.
Is there a second or support?
I support.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bowens and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Hearing none, Secretary Triplett?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowens,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Up next, we have staff report F2.
Staff report F2 is for our MLK kitchen equipment. MLK is in need of a new walk-in refrigerator. So the subject is the approval of walk-in cooler purchase. Reason for board consideration, the Board of Education shall approve all purchases over $28,048 according to the most recent State of Michigan Department of Education threshold. Facts and analysis, the food service fund has an excess fund balance that has to be extended for expenditure. Policy reference 6320, purchasing. Strategic plan reference. Facility/operations. Benton Harbor area schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety. Recommended action that the Board of Education, that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the purchase of a walk-in cooler from Great Lakes West for $81,992.48. And this is coming from the food service fund.
All right. Is there a motion to approve staff report F2?
Make a motion to approve staff report F2.
Louder, sis.
Can you say that a little bit louder?
I make a motion to approve staff report F2.
Is there a second or support?
For
The motion has been made by Trustee Rocket Martin and supported by Secretary Triplett. Questions, comments, and concerns from
Madam
the
President?
board? Vice President Bowens.
I understand that we need to update the equipment and the purchasing the refrigerator. I guess we have a facilities mapping plan or asset plan. Are we putting the car, is it an extreme need right now?
So I'll open the floor up to administration, but my understanding, Director Carter, when you say we have fund balance that has been extended, we have to spend this monies right now, these monies
Yes,
currently.
Yeah, we had it, it was originally supposed to be spent by June 30th of 2024. We have gotten an extension to June 30th, 2025. So this cooler the new furniture in the cafeterias was part of that spend down as well. So with that spend down and this cooler, we will be completely have spent down our excess fund balance in our food service fund.
Okay, and then Vice President Bowens was asking, was this a current need for the school? This something they need currently?
Yes, the condition of the walk-in cooler at MLK is practically inoperable at this time, and it will not sustain another school year, according to our Director of Food Service.
So I'm
Go ahead.
glad that it's said that we need it. I guess my fear is, and my understanding, I've seen it as being a taxpayer where we put, and this is before your guys' time, but we build additions onto buildings, we put new roofs on buildings, we put air conditioners in the buildings, and then we shut them down. Not saying that this is gonna shut down, but we have a facility assets plan coming, and if they're saying, oh, you guys can shut this school down, or we have to do some decisions moving the kids, I don't want us to waste.
Well, the MLK kitchen supplies other buildings with
Okay.
their food. So, I don't want to predict the future or, say anything that might be incorrect, but, that kitchen has to function.
It still will be open if that building
Yes.
was shut. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
My question, I guess, is this a built-in thing that can't be
Yes.
moved? Dr. Butts?
Yes.
So thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Director Brock Carter. That freezer, when they put it in, it is a lock-in freezer. So when they put it together, it's locked together. So with the tools, you can actually unlock and it can be
moved to another
Yes,
building.
it can be removed relocated, excuse me.
Any other questions from the board?
I do.
We'll go
Madam-
Secretary Triplett and then Trustee Gavin.
Yeah, I just, for me, what's very concerning is that we have all of this money that should have been spent in a timely manner. And I'm just concerned why it wasn't spent, why it hasn't been kept up. And I know, I don't know how long we can continue to lay back on the fact that transitions and all of this, because this did not just happen, this did just not occur. And so if we have this additional money that should have been spent by June, and we have buildings and places and spots that are not in great condition, that we need to make sure that we meet this deadline. So all of the money spent that was supposed to have been spent in June of 2024 for food services from this department.
That's correct.
So there's no more money to be spent.
No, this walk-in cooler will exhaust all of our excess food service balance.
So a question is, the appliances in the high school cafeteria are outdated.
They were actually recently updated.
Through
With the furniture purchase that we made?
Prior to the furniture purchase, we did equipment, a lot of equipment in various buildings. Because the balance was that large that we had enough. And the walk-in cooler was not something that we did when we did the initial replacement of upgrading of equipment in our kitchens. So now that this walk-in cooler has been discovered to need to be replaced, the remaining funds that we have, we want to use it for that.
a question. So if we walk into our school with this remaining fund, we walk into this high school, all of the equipment in the high school is working and up to date?
If I may jump in and answer that.
You can.
So prior to the exit of our previous chief finance officer, chief finance officer, and under Treasurer Creighton, what we did was we RFP'd those the equipment. So the high school, every school received new equipment. So when Taher came in, they did an assessment of the equipment, and each building where they saw the need for the equipment to be replaced, that was a purchase. It was almost $1 million purchase that the board approved back then. So we had over $1 million of excess funds. So with that initial purchase of the equipment for each school building, and then the furniture, and now the cooler. So the cooler was one of the things that we were looking at in the beginning.
Right.
It was assessed at the time that possibly, because we were entering the master facilities plan at the beginning stages, so it was a possibility that the freezer could possibly last. But when they came in, they shifted a lot of the preparation over to MLK because of the conditions of that kitchen is in great condition. That freezer has been in use a lot more, and it has come to its expiration of its lifetime.
Yeah, but MLK has always basically been the hub of food service. Many meals and many things that come out of MLK that go to other schools. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not we got this money and just making a decision without having had some full thought And it would be good to know, and I know, like you said, we voted for these things, and there are things that we have voted for that, and then we come here, we see that we're so far behind. So hopefully we are trusting you all to make sure that everything that we have, with all of this excess money that we had, that all of our kitchens are updated, all of the equipment in there is current, and we won't have this problem later on. High school, Fairplain, MLK, wherever they cook, that they have everything that they need.
Yes, sir, and thank you. And we have a few more upgrades and updates in the high school cafeteria. After then, we are there.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Gavin?
Thank you, President Robinson. Director Brock Carter, okay, so you said a couple things that kind of had me thinking. When you said that this this will possibly service other buildings, or this investment will service other buildings. My question is, when we're calculating our per pupil student, can you hear me?
Yeah.
When we're calculating our per pupil student dollars, is that where the funding for feeding them comes out of? Is it the 9,000 or however much we get per student, or is there a separate dollar amount that's coming?
It's separate. I don't want to say the wrong abbreviation for the fund. But when it comes to food service and meals, it's separate than our per pupil money that we received in state funding.
Okay. I'm thinking about our alternative school students. Do we receive funding for feeding alternative school students?
Well, it goes by the number of meals that we serve. So if they are getting meals and are included in our meal count, then yes. And
So,
I can't say 100% for sure. I will have to check with our food service director on our meal counts and to know how many of our Cape students are included. Because I'm not sure.
so
If-
we can be receiving
Yes.
funding to feed our students at Cape.
Yes.
Okay. Are we feeding our students at Cape?
Dr. Butts?
Thank you, Madam President. So if they do have that opportunity. If they come in, we can feed them. So it's just, it depends on each family. So they are eligible for a breakfast and a lunch from our food service, and we are reimbursed for that at a rate. We work on a reimbursement rate on the food and nutrition side. So the state of Michigan has designated us as a Title I school, and being that as of now, all of our students 100% receive free lunch, what we call free and reduced lunch, but it's actually free lunch, breakfast and lunch. So they are eligible. They just have to come and pick it up.
That's exactly what I thought, because I also thought that the state of Michigan did something such that so that every student will be eligible for free breakfast and lunch. And so my question is, what can we do? Because I know we're doing all these assessments of our buildings. I think our alternative school students are not in that number, are not being considered. What can we do in our process to make sure that that every one of those students also have an opportunity to take advantage of the breakfast and lunch servings? Is that something that we can put into action? How can we make sure that that's happening for our kids moving forward?
And that's a great question. So what I am doing is taking notes, and one of the things that we can do in the immediacy is put it out on our district website and push it out through that way. But I will do a follow-up with you, with the entire board, as to other initiatives we can do to ensure that those families know that they are available to them. The breakfast and lunch are available to them.
Thank you. And what I would say is what's most important is if there's a strategy to get that information to them directly, as soon as possible. Is there a way I kind of feel like we're behind the eight ball on it. Like, is there a way to, you know, I don't know, what would be the process? Would they need to?
I would say they can utilize the same, so as a parent, I'm sure you do too, we get 1,000 text messages and emails
Mhm.
based on buildings. So I'm pretty sure that they can isolate CAPE and send automatic messages and automatic emails, use social media.
So the director of Cape can actually do that. They have, each building principal, each director has that capability through Thrillshare, our new platform that we use for our district website. So there's the capability to immediately do that.
Okay, and so what would happen with would the food be delivered to Cape? And the parents pick the food up there? Would it be like, how would we service them?
We can leave it up to the director. We can have them to pick it up there. If there's a concern with picking up there, we can set up a designated place where they can pick it up.
Okay.
Almost like the summer distribution, the different sites, so we can set up a site for Cape students.
Thank you so much. And so, if MLK, if this walk-in, what is it, freezer? If
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is something that can serve other schools, I know that Cape doesn't have what the other schools have.
Correct.
I'm in support of, one facility servicing another. I don't know if that's how you would use it. But I'm also hoping that in the future, at the next meeting, we will have an update as to how, we made sure that those students and families were serviced.
Okay, Vice President Owens, you actually already made a comment.
Do we have a plan is that?
Go ahead, and what's the question?
Do we have a plan? If free lunch is eliminated, Julie,
No, I don't have a plan. I don't even know if that's something that's coming down the pike, but I don't know that that would be an individual district plan. It probably would be some governance coming from the Department of Ed on how to do that. But I would rather not think about that right now, if it's okay. Okay. So, in the absence of Secretary Triplett, I'm not ready, Trim. I'm Vice President. Ms. Singer, can you please call the vote is she there? For F2, please?
Robinson,
Yes, we have 4.
Vice President Bowen,
yes.
Secretary Triplett. Treasurer Bradley.
Yes.
Bradley's not here.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Make sure there's no.
All right, motion passed. And just in case the mics didn't hear, Secretary Triplett is in the room and did say yes. So we're gonna proceed with our next item on the agenda. Thank you to Director Brock Carter for providing her reports. I just want to add that I think that the comment that Trustee Gavin made regarding CAPE is an excellent comment and observation, one that I've never thought about. And I know in some of the data that we received, we have all discussed CAPE being a priority. And so any level of supports that we can provide or increase for the students at that building, I definitely support that as a potential option. So we'll keep it moving. Student support services, we're going to pass it to Director Nichols regarding the student support services update.
Yes, good evening. So I know every meeting, we wanted to have peer mediation numbers. The high school number is 6. They did state that they had 1, but it was canceled due to probably one participant not wanting to participate, because you do know for peer mediation, they must agree to participate. The middle school, there still have not been any participation. I did do a follow-up email. I believe it was received. Okay, great. So that's with the peer mediation. I did ask again the buildings to, make sure we put that in our tier 1s and tier 2s with our students. The next thing is our shot with a pillar. We did have 203 students participate with that, which was awesome. 33 from our Discovery Richmond Center, 45 from our Martin Luther King Jr., another 45 from Fairplain East, and then 45 from Fairplain Middle School. And then the high school, although they probably didn't go with them, they were able to receive gift cards, 35 students. And that concludes my report.
Okay, so the one thing that I will say, I mean this in the best possible way. I know that there is a lot that you do. Even with the students and the care, you've shown me the care packages and all the stuff I was highly impressed. I want to make sure that you have a voice to tell us those things. So I know sometimes when we get to you, we didn't went through a lot, but I just want you to make sure, I don't want you to feel rushed. Do your presentations and show us your work that you actually do. And forgive us if we're drained by the time we get to you, but I know that there's a lot that you do. And I don't want your work to be pushed under the rug because we're trying to have a quick meeting. Okay?
Okay.
All righty. Secretary Triplett.
I too, with Director Nichols, I've seen down through the years, where you've sat in the shadow and, of others and haven't really had the opportunity to go forth and make it yours. And so, for me, it's not really clear totally of what student services actually does. All the way, it seems like student services is all over the place. Student services with security, student services with the nurses, student services with the doctors, student services with
That's
the
what I'm
teachers.
saying. It's a lot she
Serve
has to
with the-
hold down.
We haven't quite narrowed it down, in our discussions about how that looked, so that even you would be able to do some monitoring and be able to give the reports necessary. Again, I push this thing. I think that, and when we talk about peer mediation and what have you, that's a very powerful thing. And I remember, and I want to share this with you briefly. I remember a high-ranking state official had come to Benton Harbor High School, and everybody, it was Secret Service, they had protection and all of, just coming in. They were speaking in Performing Arts Center. Outside, over here, on this corner right here, was a major girl fight on the outside of the school. Students had been suspended. And it was huge. And we were trying to make sure that it did not get down to this end for our visitor and our guests. Long story short, the peer mediation team, and I struggled with it as the principal at that time because I wanted them kicked out. I was angry, I was upset, but it happened, the timing and everything. But long story short, at that time, we had a powerful peer mediation team here at Benton Harbor High School. Those young people right now have graduated from Big Ten universities across the state and this country. But we did a peer mediation. It was, we brought parents in. We had conversations. A peer mediation was held at a pep rally. These girls ended up acting out what actually happened outside in front of the entire student body at a pep rally. And it was so powerful because the school got an opportunity to see these two groups of girls who were adversarial at that particular time and shake hands. And so peer mediation is very, very, very important. And it is not just when things are bad. It's a lot of work, and your peer mediators must have the proper training. It's kind of concerning, if you will, that there's nothing from Fairplain and the reports that we hear of incidences and what incidents that are coming out of these schools, that there's still no report from that particular school. And so I think, again, I don't think that it's not your responsibility. And I'll keep saying it, it's the principal's responsibility to handle and take care of those things in their school. And so I, as a person who's in charge of it, this is no reflection on you, but I would like to know, what are the principals doing? Are they knowledgeable? Do they know exactly how this looks and what it can be? Because it's not just when they get into it with one another. Peer mediation teaches and develops leadership, and it has follow-up. So I would like to know more and just talk with you, but I just want to say to the Board of Education, that's not her responsibility to organize the peer mediation? What are our principals doing in these buildings in order to report out to you? So thank you again. I'm quite sure you talked to the middle school principal and talked to Mr. Morant about what's actually happening with peer mediation. Thank you.
I think that you all can decide what month you'd like to do it, no pressure. I think it'd be a good idea for you to kind of just give us a quick presentation on what your day looks like. Because there's a lot that you manage that you have to do that doesn't necessarily translate here because we rarely vote on something you're requesting. But I just want to make sure that your work comes before the table because there's a lot that you do to support our students.
Most definitely.
Okay, so thank you so much.
I have a
I'm gonna
question,
shift
President-
really quickly because,
President Ross.
oh, go ahead, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Director Nichols. You said six, were you saying there were 6 meetings? Or you said a 6 and a 1 and I didn't quite understand what you said.
Remember I reported last month that they had 6. Last month I stated that the high school had 6 peer mediation sessions reported to me. And
6
then,
sessions.
yes, 6. And then there was 1 that was supposed to take place, but it was canceled.
Got you. Okay, so they had 6 sessions in which there was a peer mediation that took place with some type of conflict.
That
Or
was
6 sessions where they were meeting, where the peer mediators were just meeting in terms of learning, sharpening the saw. I guess I'm asking, was it a actual mediation or was it meetings with the peer mediators?
yeah, so it was reported that it was actual mediation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay. I guess, I saw the email, and so I guess I am wondering kind of what Secretary Triplett was talking about as well, just in terms of, I don't know, do they report to you? Do the trainers report to you? They don't. Okay, so they report to their
Building.
principal, their building principal.
Correct.
Okay. Is this a part, and forgive me, I don't know all the details of the day-to-day. Is peer mediation something is considered a part of like PBIS? Connected to that in any way? I'm not sure.
So peer mediation would be more so of a intervention response. So an alternative to, say something that would be probably more punitive. So
said
that's why I
punitive?
stated it will be, peer mediation would be a response to intervention. So if there was a conflict, so say like Mr. Triplett stated, if there was a fight, you could use peer mediation to solve and to work with the students instead of saying we're going to send them up for 10 days. We're going to work with them and see if we can solve the conflict as far as with the students. But again, they have to agree, right? They have to agree to participate. So it'll be more of a tier 1 peer mediation.
My understanding is that it can also be a proactive approach.
Oh, yes,
Or,
correct. Yes.
for-
Oh, yeah,
right.
definitely. Mhm.
Okay, so it is it can be connected to PBIS or no, not at all. There's no connection whatsoever.
So it all depends on how the building has that set up in their buildings. So I would have to lean heavily more on the buildings for how they have that, just like how they have their whole referral process plan, how those things go in levels and tiers, how it gets to then the building principal. So maybe it goes to the youth advocate first and, different steps. So we do progressive discipline. So that's why I'm saying that when you think of peer mediation, that is something that the building should use and put their plan together, how they use their peer mediation.
Gotcha.
My role was to ensure that their staff was properly trained and that they had training for their students who will be mediators.
So it's up to the building level principal to make sure that it is prioritized within their scheduling and things of that nature.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so as a part of, because athletics falls under Ms. Nichols, correct? Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick moment under the athletic update and just make sure that you guys have referenced the one of the attachments that Dr. Butts gave to the board. So as you all are aware, if you've been paying attention to the media, we got a random announcement from WSJM, and I think it might have been one of those other Michiana Hoops or Michiana Hoops about Benton Harbor area schools being dropped from an athletic conference, which came to a huge surprise to myself as well as other board colleagues. So what you have before you is an appeal that Dr. Butts framed. He and I worked on an appeal. So what we actually did is we went through the bylaws for the Board of Governors for the Lakeland Athletic Conference. And so what you see before you is the appeal that we actually issued because we noticed that there were some gaps based on what the bylaws indicate should have taken place before we even got to a position of being let go from an athletic conference. For those that weren't on the board at that time, Benton Harbor Area Schools was one of, I believe, 4 districts that joined to create the Lakeland Conference. And then we are notified via the press as a board regarding it. And they did send some form of notification to Dr. Butts late into the end of December regarding such. So I just wanted to make sure that you all had that update. The press has been very excited to indicate that we have been dropped. So what we did was outlined our concerns regarding lack of due process, confusion regarding notification of organizational issues, what particular impact on conference expansion did we have? There was no formal review, lack of communication and transparency. And then we also have some things that we want to do as a district to make sure that we have the participation at a level that it needs to be for our schools. So I just wanted to ensure that you all were aware. I know that Harold Palladium today had a statement from Director Jennings regarding us moving forward from the conference. However, according to Dr. Butts, he was never a part of a conversation or decision to be removed from the conference that was done under the previous leadership. And so we are appealing that, and we will update the board once we have further information. Trustee Gavin.
President Robinson, I'm wondering if the board can be, maybe not here, but if we can be informed, you know, whether it be via email or whatever, what happened? Why, like I see this and I respect it, but I don't even know the background as to why we were, you know, removed or what that means.
So I can try to, the simplest way, Dr. Bus might be able to better explain it. It's more so regarding the numbers of athletes that we have, the sports that we offer, and the participation that Benton Harbor Area Schools is able to engage. But I'll allow Dr. Butts.
So thank you, Madam President, and you're exactly right. It was the number of sports that we have and also the participation. So we had some low participation at the sub-varsity level, which when they say sub-varsity, it's at the middle school. So what we're going to make sure that being part of the conference was originally created in 2022. So we technically have not been dropped from the conference. There's a proposal to drop, so that's why we're doing the appeal, and to give us time to make sure that we are not only just compliance, but to show the things that we've already done to support our athletics, such as the 2 new gym floors, the track that's being put in, and making sure that we have that participation. So a lot of things weren't completely revealed to the Board of Governors. I should have been part of the Board of Governors that was not given, the opportunity was not afforded to me. So there were several things that were not done per the bylaws. So we want to make sure that everything is equitable. So we're doing the appeal to make sure it's equitable across the board. And I will most definitely give an update once we go through this process.
I guess what my request, President Robinson and Dr. Buss, is the raw data. Like, I would like to see the notification of, of what that is. I do appreciate the summary, but I would also like to see that for myself if possible. And then also some clarity around what that means. Does that mean that we're not able to continue to participate in sports if they decide to drop us? Is it just we're not with them, but we're able to do other things? Like what does that actually mean?
So we,
to our
so we
sports?
would still be able to play sports. We would develop sports schedules and things like that, but we wouldn't just be a part of this conference and compete for conference competitions and things of that nature. We have a basketball program that is strong enough to stand alone in itself, which you may have seen certain statements on Facebook indicating that. But when you think about other programs like track, needing a track team, needing a soccer team, needing a volleyball team that are unable to compete in this conference with teams that do have, with schools that do have those teams, or hosting track tournament, for example. Not saying they've outlined this, this is just an example. Hosting a track tournament, Benton Harbor area schools previously was unable to do that because we did not have a track. So those are examples of the difference between being within an actual conference versus working on your own, planning your own schedule. We would still play some of the same teams, but we would not be within the actual conference that we're in. We would still play conference teams, some of them. Am I correct?
You're correct. And
Okay.
also they would not be able to hold the accolades of a conference champion, if you would, without being in a conference. We could play them, but we would not be, even if we won all the games, we would not get the accolades. It would go to the next person. So I want to make sure that, again, everything is equitable. We're in the conference. It consists of four of our surrounding districts. And I want to make sure that our students, our children are represented. Even though we're playing, they should still get the recognition that they deserve if we are winning those sports.
Thank you.
So we did, and there is an actual letter that was sent out, Dr. Buss can forward to the board so that you all can actually see the letter, but it came to a major surprise to me. I normally try to keep it very PC at the board table, but what I will say is that this was something that I am not happy about at all in the way that it was handled by the conference or by the media and how they chose to do their breaking news. I also know that what we've discussed at the table before is that we are a district that has had its concerns and issues for historical years. And so School of Choice has taken advantage of that. We also see where we have coaches, previous alumni that work at Benton Harbor area schools or previously worked at Benton Harbor area schools that are now working for these area districts. And we have students, athletes that were once on the field or playing for Benton Harbor area schools that are now playing for other schools and winning games with our athletes and our coaches. And then all of a sudden you get a notice from the same conference that you're being dropped because of certain participation and things of that nature. However, maybe if we didn't have individuals recruiting our students to other districts, we would have the amount of students that we needed in order to compete. And so, I'm all for giving respect to my colleagues, my other board presidents, other athletic directors of neighboring communities, and superintendents, but what I am not for is Benton Harbor area schools being kicked while it is trying to get up. And so I want to make it very clear at the table that I am not blind. We are not blind. And so that's why I informed Dr. Buss that we are not just taking this suggestion that we be removed from the Lakeland Conference. We're going to appeal it. And so I know that these are Dr. Buss' colleagues. I respect them as much as he does. I'm not trying to make his work with them nor the appeal difficult by any means. But the respect that I give people is based on what's due, with all due respect, and not an ounce more owed than owed. Or than earned will not be given. And I want to make that very clear. So I just wanted to ensure that the board had that update, that the media had that update, being that they're so thirsty to make announcements and have breaking news, you can include that. And I just wanted to make sure we tried to remove any confusion that may have been present for the board There may be additional conversations and discussions that you all will need to have with Dr. Butts. But Director Jennings has been on top of it with us and trying to work with it over the weekend. He is prepared either way the conversation goes. Benton Harbor Area Schools is great, no less, whether we are in a Lakeland conference that we started or not. And so however the cookie crumbles, we're gonna roar as we always do. But I just wanted to ensure that we did have an opportunity to discuss it at the table. Vice President Bowens.
So, Madam President, I have two questions. My first question is, when we look at, I wish we had an attorney at the board meetings, because how does it look? And let me break it down into plain terms. Say, for example, I work for one washing machine company, and then I decide to go teach the other washing machine company how to install agitators. Does that make sense?
So I've actually already asked that question. And so what I found out is that as of May of 2024, it is against the law to have a non-compete clause and that would prevent an employee from working for an alternative school after hours. So I get what you're saying as far as like working for Benton Harbor area schools and then maybe working part-time with a surrounding district.
Mhm.
We can't legally prevent that.
Okay, we can't legally prevent that, but we can do some mechanisms and stuff.
No, because we
It's
can't
always
legally
a way- It's
prevent
always a
that.
way around the law. But my other question is,
So I'm gonna say on behalf of the Board of Education, there is never a way around the law.
I apologize.
What we can do is
can
be
say executive
innovative
order.
and creative in how we retain and attract coaches and our staff at Benton Harbor area schools. And so what I did, what I am looking into is what ways we can do that. But I just want to make sure that it's noted for the record that we're not doing anything that is not based on the law.
We do executive
ahead.
order. No, and my next question was, I want an executive order, but my next question was, the guy that released the news is a podcaster. Are we letting those podcasters come into our games for free?
So I would assume, yes, we let the media in for free or do we
Is it
charge them?
considered media or a podcast?
So media does have a pass, and the podcasters are typically not considered your mainstream media.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't.
Because the picture that he used and the messaging that he used made you think it was something wrong with our coach, Sterling. And it was just, it was not something that.
I
portrayed us
agree.
in-
I did ask that Dr. Bus communicate our disdain for the way that the message was communicated as well
Okay, thank you.
to both WSJM and Miss Shanna Hoops. So
Okay,
there is
I'm not just talking about that.
the peer, yeah, I get
The
what you're
sport
saying.
guy on
Yeah.
Facebook.
That's Miss Shanna Hoops, right?
Oh, yeah, machine. Okay, who? Okay.
So there was a lot of behind the scenes discussion between myself and Dr. Bus and Secretary Triplett gets me all the time because sometimes he'll say I'll carry the load and deal with the fire before it hits everybody else. But yeah, that was one of the things I told him to make sure the press knows how I feel about the way that they reported as well. So like I said, I have no ill will towards anyone. No ill will towards Lakeland Conference, some very awesome individuals and school districts. And so I know that Dr. Butts has to work with everyone and I have to go to the Berrien County Board Superintendent and President's meeting at the end of the month. But I mean what I said and I say what I mean. And so I want to make that very clear.
In light of this, we were also invited to another board meeting.
Okay. And I will be there. Secretary Triplett.
Madam President, just like they have to work with, Dr. Butts have to work with them, they have to work with Dr. Butts too. And this ain't no joke, he represents Benton Harbor. And I don't take this lightly, because we're not sitting around here lollygagging when it comes to Benton Harbor's business. They are not paying him. We are paying him to take care of our school district. So on that note, I'll stop right there. Number one, he leads Benton Harbor tight. Number two, this is not new from a historical perspective, because it's just mighty strange that all of a sudden when the previous athletic director leaves, then everybody gets kicked out. Well, Benton Harbor get kicked out. And so, and I'm not going to sit up here and play any games with anybody. We know exactly what happened, but this just did not just start when they started the segregation, when you, the DSEG plan and what have you. Every place that they hired coaches from Benton Harbor to pull students out of this district. It has been going on for years, and we have allowed it. And then we've allowed some of them people to even come back. Every school around here has staff and people who work in this district on their coaching staff all around, and we've allowed it. And it's unfortunate, but also on the flip side, many of those people have expressed that they've tried to get into our district and were denied. And so it's a whole bunch of conversations that need to be held. This is disrespectful, it is inappropriate, and it is not right. And I would like for our attorneys to be called immediately to the table to handle this situation. It is not a laughing situation. People will not come in here and do our kids any kind of way. They might know how to manipulate our kids at middle school levels and what have you. We are not playing. They are not going to, it has absolutely nothing to do with our facilities. We got to pay attention. This board must pay attention to everything. And stop sitting up here like with our heads up in the clouds, like we don't know what's going on. When we talk about our athletic department, our music, when you look at Benton Harbor area schools traditionally, the most powerful thing that we have going for us was our instrumental music department, our Tiger Marching Band. They put block scheduling in, knowing that that would dismantle our band. They knew it. And that's what they did. What else did we have? We have our athletic program. What did they do? And think about it. There are tigers sitting at this table, and enough is enough. And our kids deserve us, our right. You can be cool with them all. They can be your partner, but let me tell you something. Just like they stand strong, when I look at our kids and I look at staff coming in, working with our children, and I look at our kids competing against their friends, the citizens, the people that they grew up with, is very difficult. It has nothing to do with winning or losing. Absolutely nothing, because Benton Harbor has won forever. But this is disrespectful. This could not happen without signatures from superintendent. So the superintendent from Berrien Springs, whomever he may be, the superintendent from Buchanan, whomever that individual may be, the superintendent from Duwaz-Yak, whomever they may be, and our superintendent was not included. So this cannot happen without signatures from superintendent. So again, I urge, and I appreciate you, Madam President, for the way in which you explained it. But I want it to be understood. I want our attorneys at the table immediately.
I also requested that.
Thank
I
you.
requested that Dr. Butts pull the original contract that I voted on to join the Lakeland Conference, and asked that he review the contract and the bylaws, which is what we use for the appeal.
Well, and the thing about it is, it's not just when they talk about sub teams. You got a varsity football team, which the football team was dismantled. We saw it 2 weeks before. We know what. Stop. I can't sit here. I cannot continue to sit here, meeting after meeting, knowing when we had individuals in these spaces and places that were not working on our behalf. How do we have an athletic director and all of this stuff, because this stuff did not happen, just happened. How do we have somebody sitting in there that we paid, that we knew nothing about? Any of this that's going on, the superintendent, nobody. This is a serious matter. Of fact, anybody cannot sit at those tables. Can anybody coach our kids? And so we get ready with this transition, with this athletic department. There needs to be a halt and a discussion on how we're going to move as it relates to Tiger Nation moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And in closing, like I said, a lot of times I keep it PC. I know I probably shocked Dr. Butts a little bit because I let him know that I was going to discuss it. But at the end of the day, they never have any hesitation with how they choose to deal with Benton Harbor area schools. They have no hesitation with how they choose to report on Benton Harbor area schools. And I have been doing my best to be the most gracious and patient president feasible. And I'm still gracious and I'm still patient, but I'm not playing about my district. And so I look forward to receiving the updates moving forward and getting updates regarding the athletic director, our interim athletic director's vision for Benton Harbor area schools. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to move forward to teaching and learning. Director Kupch.
I believe there's a document in your packet that should be what you requested, President Robinson, in regards to the layout of the various programs for curriculum. This shows you school-wide responsibilities and teacher team responsibilities. It's divided. The first section is
One second. Everyone, it's this one. It's a sticky in page. Yeah. Okay, you have the floor.
The first section is considered tier 1. This is access to essential grade level standards for all students. The orange side on the left shows the universal screening and diagnostic assessments that are being used for all students. And then on the right-hand side is specific universal screening and diagnostic assessments based on subject and grade level. And then the core curriculum resources that have been purchased and funded by the school district. And these are items that are accessible to all of our students, no matter their specific needs or interventions that may be required based on various assessments and learning losses. The next section would be considered tier 2. This is intensive remediation in universal skills. There are qualifying criteria listed on the left-hand side. This would be a school-wide team responsibility to identify from all students which students are experiencing learning loss or learning delays in the core content that's being taught in the classroom, and which of those criteria or which interventions then would be applied to the students. And on the right-hand side, you can see the in-classroom qualifying criteria, as well as the supports, programs, and resources that would be utilized at the different grade levels in the different subjects. And then the third section is tier 3. This is additional time and support to learn the essential behavior and academic standards. This is generally considered a very small 3 to 5% of the student population that would fall into this category. And we have some specific interventions that are currently being used at different grade levels and in the different content areas.
Okay, I'm looking and I see tier 1 and tier 2, but I don't see 3 on my handout. Am I just overlooking it?
I can print that out. It may have been on a backside of another piece of paper. There was a triangle that was part of this also, so maybe all of the pages didn't come. Is it there?
Yeah, the triangles here, I guess I just don't see so for example, tier 1 and where you see it? Right, okay. Let me explain. I see that. Let me just pause for a second. What I'm saying is
tier 3 is the smaller rectangle right here.
That says tier 2.
It does say tier 2, but it should say tier 3.
So that's tier 3.
Yes, I apologize. Bifocals in the computer screen don't always collide as you need them to.
Okay. Okay, so I know I need a little bit more time to look over this. It's different looking at it in physical form versus trying to understand it on the computer. So I do appreciate you starting on this. I'll take a little bit more time because I know I requested it, but there may be individuals who have questions now, but I know I need a little bit more time. Any questions from the board currently at this time? If not, I'm sure you'll have some questions and we'll come back. So you can proceed with the Benton Harbor Area Schools course guide updates.
So as presented previously, the course guide was given in electronic and a hard copy. The link that is on the agenda gives a quick synopsis of the specific changes, additions, or things that were removed from the course guide. There was a team of middle school and high school staff and administration that worked together on this project. We did review the current course guide as well as 4 previous iterations of the course guide. And we had Rochelle Bowerman from MDE, who is the state expert on MMC credits, come and present to our group and answer questions that we had. So there's just a few staffing changes and updates in that way. Some specific things that are listed would be related to the proficiency credit language for world language. As described by Rochelle Bowerman, students must earn a novice high level of proficiency. She correlated that to about a kindergarten reading, writing, and speaking level. And that can be earned from any work that the student does, kindergarten through 12th grade. She also said that by and large, there is no 1 credit. It's either 0 credit or 2 credit, because the way that the MMC language reads for world language is you are novice high or you're not novice high. So we did change that to be the 2 credits to reflect the recommendation from Ms. Bowerman. We also included the reading strategies 1 through 4 and pre-algebra based on our data and studies of student performance. We need to have reading interventions for our high school students at a variety of levels, and we'll be using the corrective reading program to do that. There are 4 different levels of that program. We do assess the students for their decoding level and then their comprehension level, which may not be the same. So we would use 1 semester for decoding and another semester for that comprehension. And for pre-algebra, based on our student performance rates in our math classes, it's evident that we need to have a track of math that is slower and makes sure that our students are proficient in their foundational skills before we push forward with the additional algebra skills.
Okay, so I have a quick question for you. And sometimes we do so much. I just want to make sure I'm connecting. What you have in this chart here, we've seen the full book, right? We did this in December.
Yes.
So you've just given us a concise version.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that what I thought was the case. Okay. So I'll proceed. So if you can go ahead and present staff report T1, and then I'll open the floor for questions.
Okay. Reason for consideration, the board annually approves the high school course guide and any changes or amendments made to it. Facts and analysis, the guide includes information on all available courses, information on personal curriculum, individual development plans, and options for earning credit. Policy reference 5460 graduation requirements, 2230 course guide. Strategic plan goal reference, Benton Harbor area schools will increase student achievement as measured on local, state, and national assessments. Recommended action that Benton Harbor area schools Board of Education approve the recommended changes as presented to the Benton Harbor High School course guide.
Is there a motion to approve staff report T1?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve staff report T1.
Is
I
there a
support.
second? The motion has been made by Vice President Bowens and supported by Secretary Triplett. I'll go to Gavin for your question. Oh, was it Rocket or Gavin that had a question? Rocket Martin?
Level would you start the pre-algebra? What grades would pre-algebra start?
The course guide is for grades 9 through 12. So pre-algebra would start in 9th grade. We have had conversations about using the NWA math scores to identify students that are really needing an accelerated level of math. We could begin that at the end of 5th grade with those fall NWA scores, and then have kind of a math 6+, math 7+, and then a pre-algebra in 8th grade. Those conversations were had during these meetings together. That's a big reason why we included the middle school, as well as making sure that the middle school knew what their students were going to need to be prepared for in high school, so we can vertically articulate our curriculum and instruction.
Yeah, one question.
Secretary go ahead, Rocket Martin, and then
That
we'll
was
go
our
triplet and then
students
Gavin.
To do pre-algebra, like maybe for those that were advanced 7th grade, 8th grade. And then when they got to high school, they could just take regular algebra and then do the 4 other 3 maths that they needed. And that certainly would help them with their M-step.
All right, we'll go to Gavin and then triplet.
Okay, thank you, Director Cupch. Can you hear me okay?
A little louder, please.
Is this better? Okay, good deal. I don't know if it's related, but I know that we approved Taekwondo for middle school, and I'm wondering, did that happen? Is that a part of the course guide?
So the Taekwondo at the middle school in Fairplain East is a special program, like Threads of Hope is a special program, and it's not part of the course guide. The electives in elementary or specials in elementary and the electives in middle school, there's no set standards or criteria that those fall under, and there is no Taekwondo proposed for the high school, so it isn't in the course guide. We did ask questions of Rochelle Bowerman regarding a program like Taekwondo, and she directed us back to the standards for physical education. And we can offer Taekwondo as long as we also include instruction during that course about health and wellness and the other specific topics that are in the state standards for PE and health.
We can, but we're not offering it yet, or we are offering it?
We are not at the high school. We are not offering it.
Are we offering it at middle school?
Yes, it is a special program at the middle school and at Fairplain East.
Okay, thank you. My other question was about, I see you have office aide and teacher aide. Is that any way connected to what used to be the teacher cadet program, or is this something totally separate?
So last school year and this school year, our teacher cadet program had 2 students that were registered for the course. So we are still working to build the interest and promote that program. The office aide and teacher aide would be probably more aligned to the business aspect of working in a business, managing sensitive information, building responsibility and workplace skills that would be transferable to any sort of office or management type of career field.
So right now, we're not offering the teacher cadet option?
That's correct.
Okay, because I know, I'm not against teacher aid, it's just I know that in terms of pay, we want to make sure that we're providing opportunities so that they can get those positions that pay a little more. So I don't know. I'm just hoping that there can be, and maybe we can talk about it in committees.
I think the office aide and teacher aide option would be more appropriate for a student that only has 1 period available to them. Whereas a student that has a block of 3 or even 4 periods that is not in a CTE program, we would want to encourage them to use the school to career opportunities so that they would be able to leave the building and work in the workplace so they can earn money and still earn their credits for their course.
Say that again. You said in those courses, they can earn income?
Yes, School to Career is a statewide program where the students can actually be employed. It has to line up to their EDP, their educational development plan, their career goal. And then they are placed into positions that are aligned with that particular career goal that they have. And then the student actually would earn money. There's an opportunity for unpaid internships. Let's say a student is interested in a career in veterinary science, it's likely that the veterinary clinic may not pay the student, but would give them a workplace experience through school to career for those 3 class periods, but the student wouldn't be paid. But oftentimes we would be able to find something that would correlate to their future goal that they could be paid for.
Could the teacher aide or office aide course serve as a prerequisite or a feeder course into the teacher cadet program? Like to gauge to get interest into the teacher cadet program?
I think that's certainly something that we would be able to explore. Having been the teacher for a teacher cadet program in my previous school district, I have a plethora of ideas for how we could make that work. And I would love to see us grow our students into certified paraprofessionals in our district while they work on their teacher certification.
Thank you so much. My last question is about the what I see here, the change, reflect the current staffing and name changes with Kate. It may or may not be related, but just in terms of those students receiving the services, graduate advisor, those types of services, how are we ensuring that those students are receiving that service?
So we did just have a meeting last week with our school counselors and our building administrators from both Cape and the high school. We are working frequently together to ensure that those credit audits are happening with our school counselors to encompass all students 9 through 12, no matter which building they're enrolled in.
How are they assigned to counselors? Is it by name, last name? Is it?
Yes, I believe that this year they have divided by grade level and last name, but they are moving to last name only. That way the relationship can be built with the school counselor and the student to be able to move together for the full 4 years that the student's at school.
And are students guaranteed a certain amount of time with their counselor throughout the year? At the beginning of the year, middle, is there a guarantee that those students services?
I believe the school counselors met with students during first semester. One of our counselors is new to us this year. And so for her, it was a great opportunity to just get to know the kiddos that are on her list. And then as we move forward, they're credit auditing with their seniors and meeting together with them to talk about their future plans. And after our course guide is approved, then we'll be able to start having those meetings with the underclassmen so that they can start making the plans for what courses they'll be enrolled in for next school year. We did at the beginning of the school year in September put together a guidance department calendar, if you will, for the school year that kind of plots out these things to make sure that there's at least 2 touch points with each one of the students.
Thank you so much. I would love to take a look at that. Appreciate you.
Secretary Triplett, do you remember? You had a question, I believe.
I do. This right here is when I look at the teacher cadet and all those different programs, this fall up under CTE. Am I not correct?
It does, yes.
So I had asked why our director of CTE is not here at the table, being that she is a director. And so we can get some more information. And our director of CTE is Arlene Wilson. And I know she worked up under, I'm not sure if she worked up under or what the chart looks like. But the CTE, it was very pressing that we did identify a CTE director. And so I would like to see her, if you will, sir, to make sure that we can get the reporting out from Director Wilson as it relates to the CTE program. And that take that off of the curriculum director's plate, because we do have a person who is qualified to do that particular reporting out. It's not all clubbed in together. I appreciate the way in which you've organized this, and I'm excited about the new curriculum committee members working with Director Cuff, and hopefully we'll be able to see some cohesiveness as our president had inquired about. We spent thousands and thousands of dollars in textbooks and all of these different things, but I cannot see the connection. I don't know how it's being used, and that's something maybe if you can take into consideration all of the things that we have purchased, and how does this look towards our goal for this district as it relates to academics. But thank you. This right here was very good to be able to read to see, what it is that we're doing. So I want to tell you thank you for that.
I have a really quick question. And this will be the last question on this topic. We're going to take a vote because sometimes my questions take us down a longer road. So I apologize in advance. But you indicated we only had 2 students interested in teacher cadet. That just doesn't sit right with me. Teaching is one of the subjects that a lot of kids fall back on just in comfort. So I guess my question is, are all of our students required to select a professional track? Or is it an option? And I believe, if I remember correctly, we identified a track when we came in the 9th grade, correct? And you automatically followed your track that you thought you wanted to do when you went to school. So if we got back to that, because every student here, whether they want to go to college or want to go to a vocational program, every student that enters the building should have an educational goal based on where they are now. They should be following that track based on their plan. And then that way we don't have to try to beg and steal and borrow students to be participating in these programs because they're following their track. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I won't give a long answer, but I think it deserves more than a quick short answer. So I'll give you a medium answer.
Okay.
So I am extremely passionate about CTE. I think it's super important for every student to be able to answer the question, when am I ever going to use this?
Right.
Because no one likes to do something that they don't feel like they're A, good at, or B, is worth their time and investment in it. So something that I tasked our CTE director, Arlene Wilson, with is to work with the elementary and middle schools to help our building administrators, family engagement specialists to provide field trips that are educational and help students see different career opportunities. So one great example is to go to Martin's Supermarket. Most everyone has been to the grocery store, but we don't go to the back of the grocery store. We don't think about logistics. We don't think about marketing. We don't think about sales. And those are all incredibly lucrative career fields that can hit a lot of our different talents, learning styles, interest levels for all of our students. So if we start doing that with our kiddos when they're in elementary school, once they get into middle school and they start using Zello to do those personality inventories and aptitude tests, when they start reading about some different careers that they're best suited for, they'll have a little bit better of an idea of what in the heck that stuff is, because they will remember some of these trips that they get to go on when they're in the younger grades. Then when they come into 9th grade, they are supposed to have an educational development plan that started, and it would have a career goal. But just like me, I went to college 3 times now, and I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up until I was 27. So I worked in the private sector in boat sales and marketing. And then I was a family consumer science teacher, and now I'm a director of academics. So even if the EDP and the career goal that they make when they're in 9th grade, if that changes by the time they're in 10th or 11th grade, we'll change that and help guide them. Another conversation that has happened is about year 5, because everything in high school seems to be about planning for your 4 years until graduation day, but no one talks about what happens the day after graduation. So that was something that we took to Zello and asked for their 4-year plan to be changed to a 5-year plan, so we can help our students to think about what happens the year after you graduate, no matter what your goals are.
Okay, so back to my original question. And I think, so right now as it stands, everyone's not participating in a track.
There's no tracks. There's the opportunity to do the CTE programs, but there's not a set track of courses. If I came to high school and said, I want to work in the construction industry in some form or fashion, there are courses that we want to make sure kiddos take as a ninth and a 10th grader so that they can take the construction trades courses as a junior and senior, but there's not necessarily a track of take these classes in this specific set order.
Yeah, we didn't have, maybe track is not the correct word. We didn't, it wasn't in a set order, but I guess what I'm getting to is if you identify freshman year, what these students, what area at minimum, say we offer 4 areas of CTE or 5 areas of CTE. And out of these 5 areas, or, you know, what is it that your focus is? And the students selected that and they participated in CTE related courses or whatever courses based on what they have interest in, you would never have a program not have a student.
We added some introductory level courses that were shorter and not as deep that the freshmen and sophomores can take to get their feet wet. And that way they don't have to wait until they're a junior to decide, is culinary what I want to do? There's a different course that they could take to get started early on. Maybe that goes along with what you're doing.
So I'm going to do some research at surrounding districts and then I'll come back because I know it worked for us. And we do jump around quite a bit. I went to school for education, but I was a part of the teacher cadet program. And in the 12th grade, because of how well I did in English, I was able to teach within the honors English 9th grade course. And although I didn't stay the course to be an education teacher, I'm here. So my participation in that program was a significant foundation for where I've become. You get what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that because we have so many things, but our children don't really have the interest or the knowledge. You know, I don't know how much effort we're giving to recruiting them. They may not fully understand what teacher cadet means, but and I'm not saying that we're not doing enough, but I'm saying that there's a system that worked and the system has shifted. It's been broken. And now we're giving them all of these choices and they're choosing nothing. Not to say they're not choosing, but they're not choosing the options. And there has to be a way to get back to the way that we were doing things when it worked. But I don't want to belabor us any longer. I look forward to curriculum committee and I'll have that conversation then. Okay. So Secretary Triplett, can you call the vote for staff report T1?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin, Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, we're gonna move forward. Director McDermott, we're gonna allow you to present human resources. We're at 8 or a little bit over right now, 8:04. We don't have much left to do, so I'm entrusting you that you're gonna keep us moving swiftly. You have the floor.
I will right after Vice President Bowens. I think he has an HR update.
Oh, you have a committee update?
Yes,
I don't see that on the agenda, but you have the floor.
it was by executive order. No.
Okay.
I just want to give a moment of silence. We lost a staff member. Last week, we lost a staff member. We appreciate all of our staff at Benton Harbor area schools and what he has brought to the table and did. I've seen the social media tributes. And I just want us to make sure we are acknowledging Mr. Craig Stephen Clark. If we could take a moment of silence, Madam President. Thank you. Can we make sure our card and flowers are delivered? Thank you.
So we'll have to work on, we have 2 resolutions to draft in, so we'll work on those. If you could get us do you have funeral details yet?
Yes, it was just on the board. His funeral is Saturday, January 25th. Visitation is at 10 a.m. Oh, that's so early. Funeral is at 11 a.m. Greater John Missionary Baptist Church, 101 North Adams, South Bend, Indiana, where the pastor is Reverend Andre McGee, the officiant. Yes. And it looks like celebrating the life. The repast will be January 25th at Rio Park Events from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Thank you, Vice President Bowens. My apologies for making that little petty remark about you not having a committee report on the agenda. Thank you for ensuring that we did that. We're gonna pass it on to Director McDermott.
And there's a picture up. I just want to mention, this is a picture back from December 19th. Can you hear me okay? Can everybody hear me? Okay. This is a picture, a small reflection of those present at delivery. This was Benton Harbor Area Schools karaoke night at December 19th at delivery to kind of do a year-end celebration. So this is just a picture of us being out as a team. From a human resources perspective, I believe the team that plays together stays together. So this is a good example of things we want to do, hopefully on a quarterly basis or as much as possible to keep the camaraderie and the repertoire we're building consistent in our district. So I just want to share that picture with everyone.
Who's the best singer?
I won't get myself in trouble.
All right, you can proceed with staff report H1.
All right, submitted for board consideration. Employment of staff. To approve the employment of staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis. It is recommended that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation for the hire of the following personnel. Policy reference 3120 and 4120, employment of professional and support staff. Strategic plan goal reference, personnel leadership. Benton Harbor Area Schools will recruit, hire, develop, and retain the best staff to improve student outcomes. Personnel list for hire, we have Sarah Cadet for the position of teacher for kindergarten at DEC. Second, we have Cameron Washington for the position of library/academic paraprofessional through central office. Second, we have Pamela Buford for the position of library academic paraprofessional, also through central office. And last, we have Shaniqua Davis, paraprofessional, special education at Benton Harbor High School. Recommended action that Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
Is there a motion to approve staff report H1?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve staff report H1.
Is there a second or support?
I support.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bowens and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Madam President,
You have the floor.
I noticed that we had, never mind,
You just playing?
Yeah.
Okay. If there's no questions
I
from
have
the,
one.
okay, go ahead.
So central office have a library too? It says they had the building, the central office through the Title I funds, and they have a library academic professional, but they got a library upstairs as well? Or what is it? I'm confused on, I don't see the connection. An academic paraprofessional, is it in a building? Or do they have, I don't understand how that goes.
No problem, and I'll do my best I can to explain that. So these two individuals being presented for hire, the position of library academic para reports to our librarian, also known as our library media specialist. His position is a central office position because they service the entire district. These two individuals, the way this would look is one of them would service DEC and MLK. The other one would service FPE and Fairplay Middle School. And our librarian gets to focus more on high school and CAPE. So this is to kind of ensure that not just with the diverse libraries, but our actual libraries, that we're making sure that those are being utilized and on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I just didn't, when I see central, that throws me off. So if that was the case, whichever one of them are going to be the library academic paraprofessional, the building should say what building they're in. And because I after reading this, I know a lot of yeah. I just thought you guys had a library up there in one of those humongous classrooms upstairs as well. I didn't know if you had built a library in there, unbeknownst to the Board of Education. So I would like to know, for clarification purposes, that they are not working in Central, that they are working in these buildings.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. If there's no other questions from the Board of Education, I'd ask that you please call the vote for staff report H1.
With the necessary corrections, I'm not clear. I don't want to vote for a librarian working upstairs in the secret
So
library.
their building, are they going to be staff? They're servicing that building, but is their office there? Where is their office? Is it in Central?
So their office technically would be the library. So they are serving in the role of library academic library/academic. So each building, because they're between two buildings, there's gonna be times when I don't want to mention a specific employee, will be at DEC. Their office technically would be the library, and then their other office would be at MLK. So their office space technically is their library of each of those buildings.
Yes.
Did you have it? Are you asking for an amendment? I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
just
I'm
want to
just
make
saying,
sure.
it's just the thing, because when you look here, it look like, like I said, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a secret library upstairs.
Okay.
And that they, and specifically, when we look at this report, that we will know from this report that they're in these particular buildings.
All right, either, are the staff, for example,
He's updating.
he's updating it
right
now.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
because I just wanna, I'm itching to get, I'm trying to do
Let's
a
go.
great job at getting us out of
Let's
here.
go.
Gavin had another question.
No question.
No questions? Okay, so they're making the adjustments now electronically.
They've been made.
Okay, so according to the updates made, Dr. Butts, can you clarify Ms. Washington will be?
Ms. Cameron Washington is Library Academic Professional, FPE, Fairplain Elementary and Fairplain Middle School. Ms.
Okay.
Pamela Buford, Library / Academic Paraprofessional, will be at Discovery Enrichment Center and Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary.
Okay, Vice President Bowens, you still make the
Yes,
motion to
yes,
approve with the
everything's-
amendments? Raquel Martin, do you still support with the noted amendments? All right, if there's no other questions or comments, Secretary Triplett, can you call the vote for staff report H1?
Sure. President Robinson,
Yes?
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
Madam President, motion carries.
Awesome. Next, we have staff report H2, Director McDermott.
Staff report H2, submitting for board consideration to approve the employment of staff in accordance with the revised school code and other general laws of Michigan. Facts and analysis under section 1120 of Title I, Part A requires a participating local educational agency to provide eligible children attending private elementary and secondary schools, their teacher and their families with Title I services or other benefits that are equitable to those provided to eligible public school children, their teachers and their families. Policy reference 2261, Title I services, along with 3120 and 4120, employment of professional staff. Strategic plan goal reference, personnel and leadership. Benton Harbor area schools will recruit, hire, develop, and retain the best staff to improve student outcomes. Today, for hire, we have Kimrell Brown for the position of academic interventionist, servicing the team at River of Life. Recommended action that Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the employment of the aforementioned staff.
Is there a motion to approve staff report H2?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve staff report H2.
Is there a
Second
second?
the motion.
The motion has been made by Vice President Bowens and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I have one, Mr. McDermott, is this more information and facts and analysis than normal? Seems like we have a little bit more there. Or is that standard?
No, this is for, well, we decided that we would separate our hires, separations, retirements, and this is now the standard for those we are hiring for our, I would say, satellite or offsite hires.
No, I mean, your facts and analysis, you actually indicate the section 1120 of Title I, Part A. Has that always been there?
No, that hasn't always.
You added
I
that.
think there were some questions. on the-
Excellent touch. I'm just calling out that you have done what the board asked you to do. And I thought you were gonna catch the pass and point out and say, I believe trustee Gavin has requested previously that we quote the law that requires that, but I'm sorry, I was trying to give you a slam dunk.
Thank you.
But you have it either way, 2 points scored. All right. Did you have a question?
No, Madam President.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? The motion was made by Vice President Bowens and supported by Rocket Martin. There's no other questions, comments, or concerns. Secretary Triplett, I ask that you call the vote.
President Robinson,
No.
Vice President Bowen,
No.
Secretary Triplett, abstain. Trustee Rocket Martin. Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
All right, so at this particular time, There's a tie, it appears. There's one abstain. There is 2 yeses and 2 nos. So at this particular time, I would technically be the tiebreaker. Unless Secretary Triplett would like to, if he has the ability legally to change his vote, if you would like to amend it, or I can break the tie.
You can break the tie, Madam President.
Okay, so in order to break the tie, I'll just vote yes. Thank
Okay.
you. We'll vote yes and keep it moving. So we'll count that as a pass.
Can we make
Ms.
sure that we
Singer,
next say
And
this
what you
vote-
can do for the record, you can amend my vote to a yes to
Can we
ensure
put
that the
vote
vote
twice to tie?
passes. She can notate that for the minutes, but it's just a yes from me.
Is it-
All righty. We're gonna proceed. Mr. McDermott, I know that you standard put your vacancies on here. I just want you to be aware that once we look at the data from partnership agreement and things like that, there are certain areas. I think specifically one that I can think of is Ben Harbor High School math. That we'll be kind of looking at you to see what your staffing looks like. Dr. Butts is familiar with what I'm discussing, so just kind of be prepared for more in-depth questions in human resources as it relates to areas of weakness that we see based on the 18-month benchmark. Because if we have low scores in certain areas, then we need to see whether we have adequate staffing, things of that nature. Okay, next facilities update, Director Dash.
Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna make this quick. We're gonna get it done.
We can't hear you, sir.
Sorry, sir. Let's see. I'm gonna just read through my list real quick. We've been working on the fire inspection list provided by the city inspector. We received a large list of safety concerns at the high school from the city inspector. We've satisfied a good dent in that list. As you can see, if you look up there, some of you might be able to see it, but some of you won't. There's a red sign above the fire extinguisher, and the fire extinguishers are now hung inside of their little boxes with hangers that we bought. We still have some other things going on, but that was a big one. So the whole high school's done now with that. I had a conversation with our insurance company regarding the gym floor. The gym floor right now is staying pretty level. That's due to the weather, but the installers, they've come in and expressed their concerns many times about what they have seen happen in this exact situation. And they said that the humidity, once it starts to rise, that floor is going to start possibly doing some really interesting things and warping left and right. So I just made the insurance company aware of that. In the spring, when the weather changes, they're going to send their adjuster out to take a peek just to look at it. What else? This is another one of the fire safety things. I've been talking to JCI. They're the original installers of our fire alarm system. Typically, we have another company come out and they do the inspections of the fire alarm system. But for this instance, because of circumstances, I decided to call the people that put it in because they know it. That's their system. And I have a meeting with them this coming Monday. So that should be taken care of in its entirety across the whole district pretty soon. Let's see. Got a hold of a contractor about the entryway here at the high school. I showed you a little bit of that, Mr. Triplett, or Trustee Triplett, sorry. But anyways, I ended up having to call an engineer about that, and I did that today. So I'm in the beginning conversations of what that's gonna look like, which if you ask me right now, I'm not gonna lie, I can't really tell you. I'm learning it. But let's see. We're still continuing to work on the heating systems in the buildings. We have very, very isolated issues, which that's a good thing, actually. It was a big deal for quite a while. But right now we got isolated down to a few places, Fairplain East and DEC. Just 1 or 2 rooms in each one of those. We're actually whittling it down, and that's a big step, honestly. Let's see. We replaced the ceiling tile in the concession room here in the cafeteria because the kitchen, they've expressed some interest in reopening that where they used to sell chips and snacks to students. So we did that, had to take them all out and put new ones in, and we're in the process of cleaning all that up. We moved the kitchen equipment, meaning the cafeteria furniture, since we last spoke. That was obviously a while ago. But we moved all that stuff around. The new stuff went in the buildings. The better stuff went to other buildings that they just needed an upgrade, and we're not going to store the really good stuff, so anything that was in okay shape, we stored it. Let's see, the middle school gym floor is done. It looks real nice. I just want to make a note of this because I did this. It doesn't look finished underneath those bumper guards, where under the hoops. I did that on purpose because I want to raise those up and get them level and hopefully replace them. But right now they all kind of go like this. If you look down the line, they kind of jig-jag up and down. I don't like that. So I asked them to leave the baseboards off underneath that, because if they were to install it right now, they would have had to cut it. But I'm going to raise them up a little bit, so I don't want it cut. So they left those parts out and have them stored for me. I'll be putting those little pieces down myself. It's like 8 feet, not a big deal. Let's see.
Plowing duties.
Say what?
You're at the bottom, plowing duty.
Yep. We started to take on the plowing duties for Fairplain East, MLK, Teen Center, and the maintenance building. This will save us $2,000 each time that those buildings need to be plowed. Like today, for instance, I did it. I saved $2,000. Yep. And it was pretty fun. But we had a pipe freeze at Fairplain Middle. That was exciting. But we got it fixed and everything's good. Nothing broke. We just had to figure out where the freeze was, which was investigation, because it's never happened before. So what do you know? But we found it. We put a heater down there and everything came back on. It took a while, but it's working. And just as a precaution, we have some faucets running a little bit, overnight. Let's see. Oh, Miss Gavin. In the past month, we had 106 tickets opened. 78 of those have been completed, and 28 of those are still open. And that's it. Other than I think that's really about it.
Great job, because I was going to catch you up on the tickets. You got it. Great job.
I made sure to jot that down today. This is the most up-to-date data too, like at 5:00.
Good job. Okay. We'll go to Vice President Bowens and then Triplet and Gavin.
So first off, I want to say thank your staff. On Sunday, I got put to work for Miss Benton Harbor, opening the door, and seeing them make sure the walkway was clear and they were making sure the facilities were up to date. It made me feel happy and glad when people were coming in, and it was just amazing. I know previous years it would be an inch or 2 of snow out there. And the people were warm, so they can say they got pneumonia or flu being in our building. They were hot and good. I'm glad that we got the snowing, shoveling the snow. Do you foresee yourselves getting any grass cutting? I see we paid like 16,000. I don't know if that's monthly or quarterly.
We have actually had some minor talks about that. Well, we have actually had some minor talks about that. I am interested in doing that. We just have to math it out and figure out how much savings, if any, it has to be a smart decision.
Because years ago, back in 2003, we used to, maintenance would be, they, if they weren't in their building cleaning up, they were out there cutting the grass.
Mhm.
My next question is, and I like this group, you get to explore abandoned buildings and abandoned hospitals and everything. One of our buildings got up to it and they explored and they went in and they got some good pictures. I understand that they cannot really board that building up anymore. What is your best bet? Well, never mind. I'm not going to put you in a fight. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so thank you.
All right, Secretary Triplett.
I do want to say that I appreciate Director Dad. In emergency situations, being available, going above and beyond. As trustee, as our vice president stated, the team that you had here working was phenomenal.
Mhm.
Those who were phenomenal.
I'm happy to hear that.
I know you guys are making adjustments and what have you. The heat was
On,
on hell.
you said it.
We had queens taking their shoes off, visiting people in the back. It was so hot. And so, I played on it like, well, at least you will not be able to say
That the boilers aren't.
that the boilers are not working. Our new boilers are working. But he came out, turned them off, and the people, it was just, I felt good to be able to say that, the things out in the front, the carpet, anything that was asked, they did it. And they, we have a lot of work to do in our Performing Arts Center. And that right there is something that we can hopefully we'll start working on this fiscal year. But again, thank you. I can't say anything else but thank you.
You don't even need
When they
to.
came in, everybody was comfortable. It was clean. Our Blossom Time officials and executives, they saw our cafeteria. They were impressed. It looked nice. And you just you made yourself available. And I think all of you all, as our directors, I know that you will do that. I was glad that our superintendent was able to come and he had an opportunity to see for the first time the magnitude of what this is for our community and what it is for our young people. But thank you to all of you all. I missed my number one supporter on the directorship. I guess she got the director and she didn't come anymore. She didn't make it, but she's made it every year prior to this. She's always been an avid supporter. As a matter of fact, her daughter was our Miss Teen before, but it was just so great to see that Trustee Gavin made it. Director Cuff came from her child's hockey game. Again, Director Nichols, Director McDermott. You all don't know what that meant to our kids because the majority of the kids that participated this year was from Benton Harbor Area School. And we also had a young lady who's on the court from Cape. And that's the first time someone from Cape has participated in the Miss Benton Harbor pageant. So
That's wonderful.
yeah, and it was absolutely wonderful. She has such an amazing job. So thank you all for your support. And I hope that you don't feel like you get to come because the board, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with y'all caring for our kids. And our kids felt very honored. So thank you, Bud. Director Dash. We will continue to work and grow on our modes of communication with one another. How we speak and how we work together. And we're going to grow in those areas. But as far as a hard worker and being there for us, and I feel in your heart that you do care for Benton Harbor Area Schools. And thank you so very much, sir.
Trustee Gavin.
Thank you, Director Dash. You are a person who just makes yourself available. I've noticed that from day one, and it really makes a difference. I attended the Miss and Mr. Benton Harbor community pageant, and It's very inspirational. What I would say is that it felt good to be in the PAC. The stage was beautiful. The lights were on point, right? Like that makes such a difference. That is our way of showing the community and abroad what Benton Harbor has to offer. So I appreciate you for, making sure that we had the lights in there. I know that's been an issue for a while. Um, People have had to get outside lights if they really wanted it to look right. I do have a question about our thermostat. I know that when we were talking about the boilers and getting new everything, I know we talked about the thermostat system, just being able to regulate the cold and heat.
Yeah.
Can you give us an update as to, and I know that we're not done yet, we're still working on the high school. Can you give us an update as to how that part of the process is coming along, and if when it's finished, we will have a better control over the temperatures in the room?
I'd like to defer to Dr. Butts, please.
Can hear you. What?
Oh, I'd like to defer to Dr. Butts, please.
Okay, and thank you, sir. So, yes, ma'am. In doing that, what we're working on now is getting everything connected, right? So the first thing was to make sure that all the valves were in place, so that when we get to different parts of the building, we can shut off different valves. The next phase of this will be to install those regulators,
Okay,
and those regulators will be in each part. So, like these registers now, they're just set to high heat. So in what we will be able to do once we get all the regulators put in is to control the amount of heat that comes out in each part of the building.
okay,
So we are working on it. Right now, my ask to the company was to set it on high heat for this warming season.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
happy to know, that that's a part of the deal, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because we want to make sure that we're efficient with our spending as
And-
well. So, and we want our folks to be comfortable. So thank you for that. I'm really grateful for the tickets. I think it's real good that we're looking at what we're getting done and what we still need to get done. And knowing those outstanding tickets is very helpful checks and balances for us. Is this also the space in which we would get updates in regards to our timeline for the master facilities plan and the driver's education RFP?
I'll be giving the update when I do my superintendent comments.
Great. And then is it possible for us to receive, not necessarily right now, but in the future, a list of all of the facilities? Because I didn't even know the skills center was open, right? I didn't know we were still, it was still active. So is it possible for us to get a list of all of the facilities that we own and the status of those facilities?
Yes, ma'am. That's going to be another little part of my update.
Okay, good deal. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Director Dash, for all that you do.
Okay, the only thing I want to add is that we need to make it a target goal for sound systems in the PAC and in the gym. I remember, and that could be a part of master's facilities planning, because I'm not exactly sure how expensive those are, but at some point it may have been 21. There was a particular entity that made an offer to go half with us on the cost of upgrading the speaker system in the high school. I don't remember. Was it the PAC?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the entity?
I got to go back and look at the notes, but there was an entity because that particular year there was a large concern about the sound quality.
So, and that's just something historical I remember. So we could find out find that and see if that person's still interested, because I don't know what caused us to pause at that particular time. I don't know if it was the funding or why we didn't do it. But if we could go look and see who that was, and that way that can be something we're considering in the facilities plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam President. The and for the light, and for the lights in the performing arts center, we had new lights put up in there But because of the heat, found out because of the heat in the Performing Arts Center, which was just like brutal, they melted
Oh,
and it damaged those lights of all the work that was done because that heat was so high consistently. And it just,
Oh.
those bulbs across the top.
So I just want to make sure we're saying it. So it wasn't the actual heat, the lights themselves burned out because they weren't turned off.
No, they melted.
Okay,
Those bulbs, some of those bulbs melted in there. It was
Right.
actually melted, the light, we don't know if they were turned off or not, but I know they burned out, but they heat.
yeah, they did.
But that heat was on like really seriously. At some point, the temperatures in there were like 115 degrees. And nobody was in that Performing Arts Center for some time. Those lights melted. So we just got, and to have Director Dad on top of this and doing the investigation and the work, you know, that's important. Because I hate that we spent that kind of money and that time, and then that happened. Because we were prepared for that audience to be lit up. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna keep it moving. Old business, the only update is just a reminder, we have our meeting again on Tuesday, which is why I've been trying to get us out of here because we have our training Tuesday from 6 to 9. Estimated it's a 3-hour training. And it is on committees and committee of the whole. As a reminder, send me your questions that you have. And thank you to Trustee Gavin and Trustee Rocket Martin for doing so. I don't have any new business. Anyone here for open public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed. Superintendent announcements and comments. Dr. Bud.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I'd like to say happy Boards Appreciation Month. And again, we do appreciate all the work that you do. I did have a chance this year to attend the Miss Benton Harper pageant. It was an amazing pageant. I did not realize the steep historical value that it has. I did not realize that this was the 119th crowning of Miss Benton Harbor and the 28th year for Mr. Benton Harbor. So that was very monumental to me. So we will be making sure that we look into finding funding sources for upgrades. I know there were some funding sources through CTE last year under different my different cabinet and those things went a different area. So we will be researching other funding opportunities as they come about. One of those opportunities to speak to what Vice President Bowen was saying was an infrastructure grant that we have applied for and are waiting for a response to look at some of our infrastructure needs. We hope that this is not a one-time funding source and that we will have additional opportunities if we are afforded this opportunity. We did get it in time. For driver's ed, the RFP has been reissued. It is out. It is due on February 10th. We hope to have some interest taken up this time. It was revamped and it is out for proposals to be submitted. With the master facilities plan, I am planning to meet. The plan was to have met this week due to inclement weather. We had to push the meeting back to next week in reference to the survey and doing survey on our closed buildings and also getting the committee back together to meet and discuss the results of the survey and looking at ways to go ahead and speed up the process and looking at the closed buildings and what we can do moving forward. I think I've addressed all of the questions that have come up, and if there are any other questions, please submit to me for email updates. Again, I'd like to also extend a really heartfelt appreciation to the team that works behind me to help continue to keep this district moving forward. I'm humbled and honored to be the shepherd, but I cannot do this alone without the great team that I have behind me. So again, I thank all of you for your hard work, dedication, and effort every day for what you do. I could not do this job without any of you. So I do thank you for that. And that is the conclusion of my comments and announcements.
All right, thank you, Dr. Butts. We're gonna begin with trustee Gavin, and then after Gavin, we'll go Rocket Martin. Board member announcements and comments.
Thank you, President Robinson. I want to thank everybody who is probably listening on Zoom and will be listening on YouTube and any of the public that came out earlier. I want to thank you, Dr. Butts, for the recognizing us for board appreciation. And I'm excited about the driver's education RFP that went out. I'm hoping that that's something that we can get going this year, especially with stop and frisk being on the table on the federal agenda. I think it's important for our students to have licenses. So I just think it's just super important. Once again, really inspired by the teens during the Mr. and Miss Ben Harbor pageant. I was just in tears and just so proud and excited. And that's always just a powerful event, very well put together with such class. Thank you, Secretary Triplett, for continuing to lead that, and President Robinson for emceeing that event. I want to just pay homage to Mr. Clark. He was a phenomenal individual, just a phenomenal being. I had an opportunity to meet him. I had an opportunity to interview him. His love for our students, for our people, for the community, for his work, is just unmatched. And he's just one of those people you will not forget. I would just also like to say I'm super excited about what's going on with MLK. I think that that's something we need to have that commercial all over the place. Our first and second graders coding. I'm so excited about that. I think it needs to be on the website, on Facebook, just everywhere. It's just a beautiful thing. And the last thing is that I think we should look into getting a foundation. If we're looking to raise money, we shouldn't have to ask anybody else for the money. It'd be great if they give it to us, but I think we should have our own and just kind of look into that option as well. You all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, trustee Rocket Martin.
I'd like to also mention that we lost another Benton Harbor student, Geraldine Edison. She was she had been a student at Benton Harbor. I think she was in the class of 1998. She graduated with my son. So yeah, that's another family we'd like to offer condolences to. What I would like to say also, if possible, when we get ready to do the feeding for CAPE, I know prior to this, they used to bring the lunches in to the students. If there could be like a flexible feeding time for them, maybe, because they don't tend to have the same schedule as everyday kids. I mean, they come to the regular high school and stuff. So if they could have maybe a flexible feeding time, some perimeters in there where they really can get fed. Okay, if you could mention that to them. And then for peer intervention, we used to do that in our buildings, and we had specific people that would go in at kindergarten through whatever grade and teach conflict resolution skills to the kids. I remember having Keisha McKee, Mr. Featherstone, and Mr. Allen did that with our students on a regular basis. Every week they touch bases with every classroom to help those students work through conflicts and those kinds of things. It also taught them manners, took them on little field trips, did a lot of things so that they could kind of do those peer mediation type things themselves, and learn how to do it at an early age. My other thing was, clubs. If it's possible, I can remember being in the Future Teachers of America Club, and then we have future business leaders, future scientists. All of those clubs help to form those ideas about what kind of career you wanted to have. And as a Future Teacher of America, we were allowed to go to the elementary school and just be a teacher for half a day, so you could get an idea of what it's like to do that. My last thing, we are continuing to, we have a great superintendent. And he's getting the job done, whatever, with his cabinet. Like you said, it's not him alone. However, on Facebook, we still have people trying to dish our superintendent. And just like you guys were so passionate about our facilities and our teams and our football and all of that, the sports events, I am just as passionate about people dishing my superintendent when they don't live in my community, nor do they have students in my community, nor do they offer financial support to my community in the form of taxes. So, I think that's so unfair. You're dishing something that you really don't know deep down that much about, and you really have no interest in this district. Because if you did, you would not do that kind of thing. So with that being said, I'm saying it's because
Speak
I
in the
want
mic,
it on
please.
record that I do not appreciate it at all. And so, if you don't live here, what do you have to say about it? You're an outsider looking in. So with that being said, I will pass my.
All right. Secretary Triplett.
Madam President, again, I'd like to thank you all for the condolences in the loss of my sister. I lost my sister Monday night. She was a year younger than me, and very, very close, and it's very difficult. I will miss her forever. I saw her yesterday for the last time. And also Mr. Clark. I think Mr. Clark was just such an amazing person. And he was also my fraternity brother. This past year, he crossed the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I always had him on my heart. Many of you all don't know, he was in a very tragic car accident. And he was in the hospital for a long time. I think we should do our very best to do something collectively because he really loved our kids. And our kids love Mr. Clark as well. I also want to say, as it relates to the conference situation, for me, I've just struggled with this all. And the most disheartening thing, I've said it over and over again, that we continue to allow people to be a part of our district who does not have the best interest of our district at heart. And this is negligence. However, we have to take care of our business because nobody's going to take care of us. Like I said, it's historical and it's not new. Every charter school that was opened by an alumni of Benton Harbor High School, Countryside, Dream Academy, Mildred C. Wells. All of them were opened by alumni of Benton Harbor area schools and shortly removed thereafter. And I think that we have to pay close attention. We have people in positions, and those same people, this has nothing to do with the people who are going away and they're working in other places and spaces, coaching and what have you, because many of those people, they tried to work in this district and was denied. I'm not talking about what I heard. I'm talking about what I know. They were not given and afforded an opportunity to come back here and work. And that's something that we need to talk about. But in the meantime, in between time, I hope that our attorney is contacted and we receive the guidance necessary, because the things that we allow people to do to Benton Harbor, no one else would allow that to happen to their community schools. And they pillaged off of us for the last time. To me, the way in which we heard about it is so disrespectful. It's so disrespectful. And parents have a right to choose wherever they want their children to go. But that's disrespectful. And for you to think that it's okay, it's personal. It's just so suspect. It's a red flag that when we make an adjustment in our athletic division, that the next week or month afterward, this happened. And it saddens me because regardless of what, we give people an opportunity. We really do. And the hardest thing for me in closing is that it is so hard if you're from Benton Harbor to come into this school district and really be respected. And those are the people that, not saying that you just have to hire people from Benton Harbor, but there are so many people in Benton Harbor that have tried to come back here historically, and they've been treated wrong. And so that right there, Madam President, I'm so glad to see your tiger. I'm so glad to see your tigers in this area. I appreciate it. I feel comfortable. And to this Board of Education, I'm so grateful. I'm looking forward to us doing some great work, all of us. Thank you.
Bud said, don't forget his tiger now. He said he been growling too. Don't forget his tiger.
Got to come on with it. Many are called, few are chosen.
Vice President Bowens.
Thank you. It was a great time being at the pageant Sunday. It was, it's three ways in life. It's the right way, the wrong way, and the Benton Harbor way.
Yeah.
And although a certain trustee will get on me when I say that, the pageant is the Benton Harbor way. You hear the little kids say this is the best pageant, and it gives that sense of pride and everything in them. So kudos, Triplet, Mr. Secretary, Triplet, job well done. I'm extending an invitation to you. Our children will be performing at the Michigan Black Summit, February 7th and 8th. We will have the Lieutenant Governor, Michigan Secretary of State, Mama Shu. It will be a empowerment event, and it will be workshops and everything coming. And we would love to I'm inviting you all to register. We also have a gala where our Secretary Triplet and the board president will be the host. It will be like 106 and Park all over again. So I'm excited, and I won't be at the retreat because I will be preparing for some prior arrangements that I had on my calendar. So thank you.
Okay, so the thing about it is if you're not there, it doesn't count. So if you're
I-
telling me you can't come, then I need to reschedule it.
Let me see if I can move some things around my schedule, but I'm very busy, Madam President. So I did have a prior engagement.
Okay,
I think
so
you can.
so this is not particularly to Vice President Bowens.
Reclaiming my
retreat-
time. I'm not finished with
Okay,
my
finish.
44 seconds.
Finish.
Oh, I did ask Dr. Butts to send a letter out, and he did respond. I do think we need to be prepared for executive orders. I know they want to get rid of the Department of Education. I applaud Trustee Doyle for sending that email. I believe we should challenge the other school districts to sign on and make it public. But I do think we need to be prepared for immigration, ICE, and everything. We do have a big population, and some of those babies do attend our schools. So we need to be prepared and make sure we are giving them information. I just read it in Massachusetts, in New Jersey, St. Louis, they're starting. So thank you.
You finished?
Can I get 44 seconds? Because you guys interrupted me at 44. No, just go ahead.
Just a little comment.
No, ma'am. Okay, no, ma'am. We're gonna wrap it up. Go ahead. You have one small thing.
Yeah. Is it possible that maybe the kids in government could come out to your program as a little field trip so that they can hear their Attorney General for the state of Michigan? That would be a great field trip, hands-on for them.
I want to make sure I'm not doing conflict of interest, so I can
Correct.
speak with my board attorney, and we'll extend the invitation to the school district if we're not violating.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's worth it for our high school kids to.
And I agree with Vice President Bowens. At this time, he is speaking, giving us information as the director of NOR. So you have to be very careful with discussing potential school trips to his event when he's serving as NOR. But the superintendent is here and is aware of the event and can orchestrate any field trips and plans that he would like to for an active event that he already knows take place. So we'll allow that to be his determination and not ours. I keep my hands clean. No conflict of interest violations from me or Vice President Bowens. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up. I just wanna remind everyone that when we have these trainings, as notated in the partnership agreement, every last body of this 8-body governing board has to be present or it does not count. So when I set a date, I set the date with everyone. I have everyone confirm they're available. I send it out via email. If one of us does not come, it does not count. So and this is not just the VP Barnes, I just want to make sure everyone knows that I'm not going through the stress at the 36th month of trying to explain that we had 5 trainings with 6 out of 7 people present.
No.
So if it's found that someone cannot attend Tuesday, I need you to let me know that as soon as possible so we can reschedule for a date that works for everyone. I just want to thank everyone for their time this evening, for your efforts given to Benton Harbor area schools. I do look forward to updates from Dr. Butts regarding the master's facilities plan. I've stated it multiple times, that is an extreme priority of mine. But I won't get on my soapbox about that now. As it relates to my tiger, as Secretary Triplett called it, it may be a little bit more graceful and elegant and eloquent than others. But I don't want there to be any confusion that my bite is any less strong than the next tiger's. And I will do what is necessary to protect Benton Harbor area schools and the children because they are our number one priority. So I just want to make sure that that is clear to all neighboring districts, to the media, to the state of Michigan, to Barry and Risa, and any other party that I have to consult with as it relates to the business of Benton Harbor area schools. I come in peace, but my district will be respected and we will be treated fairly and equitably. And so I just want to reaffirm that. I have nothing else to say. Best wishes to all of our staff. Stay warm and safe. Greatest condolences and prayers to our staff and our board members that have lost family members and things of that nature. We're praying for everyone. And I'm going to end my comment there. If there's no further questions or no objections for me, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Is there a second or support?
Second.
The motion has been made by Secretary Triplett and supported by VP Bowens. Questions, comments, concerns?
Yes, Madam President, it is a mandate that we be at those board
It
retreats.
is.
And so, and we took that vote and picked that day. So everybody should be at that board retreat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Please. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
Yes, I
You
would.
allow me a chance to speak on the floor.
Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote?
Point of order. President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowen.
I would like to speak.
Yes, are you going to, yes.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned, Madam
Meeting
President.
is adjourned at 8:59 PM.